Oh God, there were the bowls, the ones we'd been eating out of. But the meat, it wasn't beef or pork, it was him. And the rice? Maggots, crawling in his flesh. He'd have to have been dead for days. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you SCP Foundation Keter Class Object SCP-073. SCP-073, also known as the Polymorphic Humanoid, is a female red fox with 9 tails. It displays polymorphic properties and enjoys taking the form of various other objects and beings, most commonly an attractive Korean female. The one weakness to its transformations is that it keeps at least one part of its true form when in human form. This allows it to be easily spotted in a group just by searching for the one person with fox features, whether it is a tail, ears, paws, or something else. However, it will use clothing to try and hide these features. In addition to polymorphic abilities, 953 displays moderate-level psionic abilities, namely suggestion and telepathy. Although insufficient to fool an outside observer, a deceived victim can be convinced of a variety of false facts, including the nature of 953, its own nature, and the nature of things around it. 953 has used this in the past to deceive a police officer into believing there was no screaming coming from a hotel room where she was staying, convince a mother to roast and eat her own child, and also performing a disgusting necrophiliac acts towards the fiancé of Agent Ramsay. SCP-073 has been encountered by the SCP Foundation numerous times, with the first encounter having taken place in Busan, Korea, shortly after the Second World War. To date, 953 has escaped and been recovered 6 times, resulting in the deaths of many SCP agents during various incidents. After its latest escape, 953 was not heard from for over a few years, until suddenly resurfacing in Pennsylvania at YIFCon, which it had been attending in the guise of a Fury enthusiast. Before being captured, 953 carried out over an estimated 27 murders of convention staffs and attendees, more than any other single incident to date. The mutilated bodies were found in various places throughout the hotel, including inside a mattress, hanging from a shower curtain, and served as the main course at a hotel banquet. Surviving attendees were administered Class A amnestics and released from Foundation custody. Foundation personnel assigned to capture 953 after this latest incident noted that the subject appeared listless and apathetic and did not resist capture. No further casualties have resulted from 953 from that date. SCP-953 is to be kept in a 4 by 3 by 3 meter containment cell at the end of hallway 99 at Site 17. 953 is to be provided with 1.5 kilograms of fresh liver daily for consumption, clean drinking water in plentiful quantities, clean beddings to be exchanged by 953 and laundered weekly. Small luxury items like plum wine and reading materials may be provided as an occasional reward for good behavior as part of psychological conditioning. Direct human contact with SCP-953 is strictly forbidden due to SCP-953's mind-altering properties. For this reason, all personnel must stay outside the 100-meter safety zone when the sealed door is opened. Delivery of food and other items will be carried out by an automated robotic assistant. If containment fails, 953 can be theoretically terminated by gunfire. However, due to its nature, recognizing 953 may be difficult. Because of the inadequacy of purely physical containment procedures to control SCP-953, psychological containment is also necessary. For this reason, the approach to SCP-953's containment chamber is to be lined with open-cage dog kennels, preferably of the Korean Jindo, or American Foxhound breed. 953 displays an extreme phobia of domesticated canines and will not pass within 10 meters of one, especially when canines are barking or alerted. She also hates it and tends to get agitated when she's referred to as kitsune, the Japanese word for fox, instead of a kumiho, which is instead a Korean nine-tailed fox. 953 is to be considered hostile to human life, dangerous, and armed at all times. any transport must be done under the supervision of at least 6 armed personnel. Its preferred killing method is a bare-handed strike to the abdomen, penetrating the abdominal cavity and removing the liver, which it will later consume. If given time, however, it will choose to linger over its kill, torturing its victim, as it seems to enjoy the infliction of pain upon another sentient being. One of 953's most disgusting acts was when a Japanese agent, probably better known as Agent 3, and his 2 other teammates, hereby known as Agent 1 and Agent 2, were sent out to capture 953. Agent 3 was the only survivor of the incident, during which he accomplished the task of capturing 953 alive. The following is a transcript of the after-action debriefing that took place following SCP-953's securement. We got on site and went to the morgue, looked at the bodies. I used the cover story of a reporter investigating the crimes, told them Agent 1 and Agent 2 were my photographer and assistant. Turns out they were thinking that it was a wild animal, based on the nature of the wounds and a little old lady's account. The old lady saw 953 eating her cow when she went out into the rice field. Then we saw this girl sitting under a waterfall, combing out her hair. She had this thin robe on. We knew it had to be 953 because of her feet. She was trying to hide them, but she wasn't doing it right. Agent 1 and Agent 2 smiled. Even I thought we had the edge on her. Oh God, we were stupid. She knew we were after her. She knew we knew what she was. She pretended to let her guard down just enough so that we could feel smug in our overconfidence. She told us that she had a cottage nearby, offered to serve us dinner, introduce us to the others. Agent 1 and Agent 2 thought we should go with her, said there was a chance there might be other victims. She took us to this cottage, a pretty little place, old and rustic, but really homey. She took us inside, served us dinner. Agent 1 calls her a perfect wife, demure, kind, sweet, and respectful. She served us rice and pickled turnips and some kind of meat. Then we went to bed feeling sleepy and tired. In the middle of the night, I woke up and saw that Agent 1 wasn't there. Figured he'd gone to take a pee or something, so I decided to go for one myself. I went behind a bush and saw, well, she was there with Agent 1, and they were kissing. Suddenly, she bit his tongue off, all of it, and then she spit it out and showed it to him, just so that he could see it happening. Agent 1 tried to scream, but she'd torn his throat out with her teeth. Then she stabbed her hand into his belly. Agent 1 was gurgling and trying to push her off. He was bleeding all over the place, but she just pushed him to the ground and started working her fingers in his belly, reached in deep and pulled his liver out like she was gutting a fish and swallowed it whole. Then she started peeling his skin off like an orange or something. I didn't stop to watch. I ran back to the room, shook Agent 2 awake, told him we needed to get going. I went for our weapons, grabbed my .45, and then Agent 1 walked in asking what was wrong. So I shot him. He was dead. His eyes were glowing yellow. What the hell kind of human being has glowing yellow eyes? Agent 2 grabbed his gun and pointed it at me. He started yelling at me to put the gun down. And that's when 953 grabbed him from behind, and the gun went off. He shot me in the upper shoulder. I fell down screaming, and I heard a loud cackling laugh. I crawled into the living room where we'd had dinner earlier that night and tried to slam the door shut. Rice paper screen not going to help, but I needed something between us. There I saw a man laid out where the dining table had been. His eyes were wide open, and his skin was flayed open. Oh God, there were the bowls, the ones we'd been eating out of. But the meat, it wasn't beef or pork, it was him. And the rice? Maggots, crawling in his flesh. He'd have to have been dead for days, But how? We'd seen him at the base of the mountain just yesterday. I threw up. Some of them were still alive, crawling in my vomit. I stabbed her in her gut with a punji stick, which slowed her down a bit. And then I dragged myself across the river. Couldn't swim, hit my head on the rocks, went downstream at least half a mile through the rapids. I got to the van, broke a window, and grabbed a flamethrower. I flicked on the sparker, managed to get it around just as she came out of the tree line. And that was when the retrieval team found me with 953. They took her away and got me to a hospital. I had a raging infection for days.
Connie knew one of the D-class subjects. Despite being an ex-con, he was a kind, gentle man who abhors violence in any form, which was why it came as a shock when he suddenly grabbed the head of his fellow D-class from behind and smashed it against the floor, over and over again. Cries and pleas echoed the room as the D-class begged to be let out while getting his head caved in. Then it got quiet. Violence ensued as the men fell into a frenzy and attacked one another. In the middle of all this, like the eye of the storm, was a young girl, no more than 3 years old, sitting idly and playing with her crayons and coloring book. Connie looked beside him. Dr. Clad appeared undisturbed as he studied the live feed intently. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you a tale from the SCP Foundation. Connie noticed the wry smile on Dr. Clad's face as he observed the camera feed of the room. Some were desperately clawing and slamming at the door, while some were busy snuffing the life out of one another. Sir, shouldn't we let them out now? I think we've got enough data on 053's ability. Sir, these men are gonna die. Dr. Clad ignored his assistant, seemingly entranced by the violence the D-class inflicted on each other in the room. One of them tried to attack the girl, but he was suddenly overtaken by a seizure and dropped dead in front of her. 053 only glanced at him with mild shock, then resumed her coloring. Sir, please, we have to stop now. What? Oh, right. Open the door and get these men out of there. A small team of armored guards rushed into the room. They flashed their shock batons and went to work on the fighting D-class subjects. Dr. Clad's smile widened as the guards became increasingly violent in their methods. When his baton snapped from the incessant beating, a guard then took off his helmet, held it high with 2 hands, and began pummeling a downed subject. Another used their broken baton as a shank. Amidst the chaos, 053 continued doodling on her Dr. Seuss coloring book, woefully unaware of her effects on these men. This is insane! Sir? Sir? Dr. Clad was enthralled by the scene and was unresponsive to Connie's call. Left with no choice, he pushed the buttons that released knockout gas into the room. Hey, what the hell do you think you're doing? Stop this! Dr. Clad pushed Connie aside and attempted to stop the gas, but it was too late. Everyone inside the chamber, including 053, fell unconscious. This is insanity. It's gone further than it had to. Didn't you see how even our men were almost turning against each other? The look in their eyes? Dr. Clad scoffed. You haven't seen anything yet. You see those injured ones? They're still moving, breathing. Humans are inefficient. Nothing compared to what you're about to see next. He then pressed on a button and talked into the intercom. All right, send in SCP-682. Wait, what? 682? You can't be serious! The cell door opened, and the great lizard was forcefully led into it. A heavy-duty chain was wrapped around its neck and limbs. The armed guards struggled to keep it under control while maintaining distance from it. Some of them would shock 682 with electrified staffs to make it move. Dr. Clad then pushed the button. The door closed shut, trapping the men and 682 inside the room. No! What the hell are you doing? The men panicked, and 682 could sense it too, as it began to see the guards waving of the staffs as empty threats, and moved towards them. Get back! He shoved the staff against 682's body. It roared as it was shocked, and then it became aggressive. 682 broke the staff with its powerful jaw, and began to twist and turn violently. The guards who were holding on to the chains were pulled and tossed around by 682's strength. The men were sent flying across the room as it roared. The commotion roused 053. When she saw 682, she gleefully ran towards it, and 682 quieted down to low growls and let the girl embrace it.
Now's the chance. We have to open the door now and let these men out. Arrgh!
Dr. Clad stunned Connie with a shotgun as he tried to operate the console.
I will not let you interfere with my test again.
Inside the cell, the guards were becoming violent under the exposure to 053 and attempted to harm her. As they rushed upon 053, 682 roared and protected the girl against the men. Its jaw clamped tightly on the guard's torso, tearing him in every which way. Its tail was powerful enough to break their bones with one swing. The room got quiet within seconds, except for 053's gleeful giggles as she played around with 682. Unbothered despite the room was littered with body parts and half-painted in blood. Connie struggled to get up and was shocked by the horror he saw inside the cell.
All this carnage and violence, all because of 682 and a girl.
Yeah, she's perfect. She'll be a valuable asset for the Foundation's effort in certain operations. What did you say? Never you mind. For now, this will be reported to the higher-ups. Your insubordination today will not go unpunished. Connie was suspended for a month. When he returned, nobody in the facility greeted him or acknowledged his return. He also found out that Dr. Clad had replaced him with another assistant. One day, Connie overheard a conversation between Dr. Clad and his new assistant. Yes, sir, everything's in order. But what about the reptile? Don't worry about it. The operation will go as planned. Take this. Dr. Clad produced a badge from his pocket and gave it to his assistant. From a distance, Connie could recognize it as the insignia of the Sarkic cult. This should grant you access to the deeper levels of the facility. Good luck. Connie quickly hopped into cover as they turned to leave the area. 1,000 questions started gnawing at Connie. What are they planning? What operation? Why wasn't I informed of any of this? The next day, the facility alert went off. SCP-072 was attempting a breach. An emergency call came through the intercom from the containment facility. It was from the head of security. 682 has breached containment. I repeat, 682 has breached containment. Some of my men were killed, but they were able to track its movement. Signal indicates that it's currently heading towards the Cauldron area. Cauldron? Isn't that Sarkist territory? Dr. Clad closed the call and stormed off immediately. Something isn't right, Connie thought to himself and followed after him. Connie shadowed Dr. Clad through long corridors and arrived at an isolated room within the facility. A holographic projector lit up and showed Dr. Clad's assistant. He was wounded and appeared to be in hiding. Screams and heavy fighting could be heard in the background. Sir, your plan worked, but I couldn't get out in time. The building has entered lockdown. They started tearing themselves apart within minutes after we arrived. I'm starting to feel really scared. I think they're coming for me. The assistant was suddenly tackled. The camera dropped on the floor, showing people engaged in a chaotic brawl in the facility. The assistant struggled to grab the camera as a frenzied Sarkic cultist had him in a chokehold. Save me, sir! Please, save me! Someone hit his head with a bat, and his face dropped in front of the camera. His cold, dead eyes stared blankly at Dr. Clad. Connie gasped when he saw 053 walking across the room in the background, looking around anxiously. What the hell is going on? Why is she there? So you've seen everything. What is this? What's going on? The Sarkic cult has been a pest for a while now. They should have been eradicated a long time ago. And now, I'm just doing what needed to be done. By sending a child to do your bidding? Yes and no. With the girl around, they'll simply go mad and tear themselves apart like the animals they are. We won't have to lay a single finger on them. And when it's done, 053 will be transported back to our base, like nothing ever happened. Complete deniability. It's genius, don't you think? No. You've gone insane, Doctor. I mean, look at her. That poor girl, she's clearly afraid of whatever's going on over there. And yet, here you are, completely unfazed by everything that's going on. Oh, you don't have to worry about her safety one bit. Look, On the screen, 053 looked happy as 682 suddenly burst through the wall and started mauling the cultists to death. When the rampage was done, the room was littered with severed body parts and painted with blood all over. 053 and 682 then snuggled up against each other, unbothered by the surrounding devastation. How will you explain that then, huh? How will you recover the reptile without raising alarms? Your plan is flawed, Clad. Huh, that's where your part in the plan begins. You see, you're the fall guy here. Complete deniability, yes, but it doesn't apply to you, unfortunately. Dr. Clad put on a mask as the door shut. Knockout gas was released, slowly filling up the room. You bastard. Connie took a swing at Dr. Clad, but the latter simply took a step back and evaded the punch. Connie was weakened by the gas and fell onto the ground.
Ever wondered why no one talked to you after you came back? That's right, you've been terminated, unofficially. An outsider who should not be spoken to about the Foundation's work.
You won't get away with this.
But oh, I will. The Foundation is a big organization, and you are nothing but a single cog further down the system. No one will even realize that you're gone. You've always been a pain, a liability in the way of progress. All right then, it's time for your nap.
Connie could feel his consciousness fading as his energy was slowly being sapped away. On the screen, the girl noticed the camera and walked towards it. She picked it up and began playing with it with 682.
When you wake up, you won't remember any of this, but you'll find yourself cold, alone, and miserable in an orange jumpsuit. Then you'll finally start making real contributions to the Foundation. I'll see you again in the labs.
When information concerning SCP-076 was brought to the attention of SCP-073 for backing up, 073 showed familiarity with the information and was disinclined to adding to it. It then stated that it is best not to meet with SCP-076 out of consideration for all parties involved. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you SCP Foundation Keter Class Object SCP-073. SCP-073, also known as Cain, appears to be a heavily tanned male of Arabic or Middle Eastern descent in his early 30s, 6'1" tall and 75 kilograms, with black hair and blue eyes. Arms, legs, spinal cord, and shoulder blades of 073 appear to have been replaced with artificial versions of unknown make and metal. 073 only takes notice of this when it is pointed out, and states that it has no knowledge of how, why, or when these replacements took place, stating it had had them as long as it could remember. Examination of the unidentified metal on SCP-073 has suggested that it is beryllium bronze, a metal that has been documented as being utilized by various anomalous cultures and entities. In light of this discovery, the Foundation began working in an attempt to trace the origin of beryllium bronze and how it initially spread throughout the world. When prompted, SCP-073 was able to provide information suggests that beryllium bronze originated in the Middle East, though the exact point of origin has yet to be determined. Further research into the origin of beryllium bronze is currently ongoing. There is also a symbol engraved into the forehead of 073, which appears to be of Sumerian origin. Symbol has of yet been untranslated, and 073 appears distressed when the symbol is mentioned at all, refusing to speak on it. 073 does need to eat and drink on a regular basis, but is strictly carnivorous, owing to its effect on plant-based items. 073 is generally polite and genial to all who speak to it, though it has been described as cold and somewhat mechanical in its speech. 073 is extremely helpful and enjoys aiding personnel in their daily actions, whatever they may be. It has highly detailed knowledge of ancient to recent events in history and most commonly spoken languages in the world, including ones that have since died out. 073 has professed to have a photographic memory, remembering word for word all text in an 800-page dictionary that was flipped through in a minute and a half. It has scored above average in all intelligence tests given to it. SCP-073's presence is inimical to all life grown in soil, causing death to any life within a 20-meter radius. Any land 073 has walked on and any within the 20-meter radius becomes barren, as all anaerobic bacteria dies, rendering the soil incapable of supporting life until new bacteria are introduced. Anything that is derived from soil-grown life, such as wood and paper, immediately rots and disintegrates upon touch of 073. Further affected derivatives include anything hydroponically grown. Any damages directly towards 073 will reflect directly back onto the attacker, although 073 visibly remains unharmed. Attempts to get tissue and blood samples have proven futile. When the procedure was initiated, personnel carrying out the action felt the sensation of whatever was applied to 073 and wound up with a sample of their own blood or tissue, despite the fact that all actions were directed solely at 073. Indirect damage through a medium also results in the person perpetrating the action receiving the wounds caused. Although 073 receives no actual harm from damage to its person, it has stated that it still feels the pain of the action and has politely asked researchers to abstain from overly harmful actions to its person. In light of SCP-073's indestructible nature, photographic memory, and general will to please, High Command have deemed that all information is to be backed up on 073, ensuring it is not lost in the event of a catastrophe. While this action has been met with mixed responses, 073 has agreed and sworn itself to secrecy on its part. SCP-073 was first found by the SCP Foundation in the New York Police Department, having been taken in after 073 had been found amidst the bodies of several violent gang members. 073 told police members that the gang had attempted to make fun of it, but became angry and attempted to kill 073, resulting in their own demise. 073 was incarcerated and was deemed a John Doe when NYPD could not find any information on it. 073 came to the attention of the Foundation through a routine inspection of John Does and was subsequently released into the Foundation's custody. When information concerning SCP-076 was brought to the attention of SCP-073 for backing up, 073 showed familiarity with the information and was disinclined to adding to it. It then stated that it is best not to meet with SCP-076 out of consideration for all parties involved. SCP-076 consists of two components, a black speckled metamorphic stone referred as SCP-076-1 and a humanoid entity contained within, referred as SCP-076-2. 076-2 resembles a lean, Semitic human male in his late 20s. For more information about SCP-076, check out this video. Rumor has it that 076-2 and 073 are based off the biblical characters Cain and Abel. In the biblical book of Genesis, Cain and Abel are the first two sons of Adam and Eve. Cain, the firstborn, was a farmer, and his brother Abel was a shepherd. The symbol engraved on 073's forehead is obviously the mark of Cain, and, at least according to the Bible, it makes the land barren around him. That is why all organic materials decompose when he is near. Although we're still not sure about their relationship, but we're definitely sure that 076-2 hates 073. Because upon sight of it, 076-2 became highly enraged and aggressive, killing several of the researchers. According to the Bible, Cain and Abel made sacrifices to Yahweh, the national God of the kingdoms of Israel and Judah. Each of their own produce, but Yahweh favored Abel's sacrifice instead of Cain's. Cain then murdered Abel, whereupon Yahweh punished Cain by condemning him to a life of wandering. Cain then dwelt in the land of Nod, where he built a city and fathered the line of descendants beginning with Enoch. Hence, 076-2 seems to be reincarnated as a vengeful being. He just kills and kills, which seems like he is exacting revenge for being murdered by 073. Recently, a Grade 3 researcher, Dorothy Zhang from the Chinese branch, had proposed a plan to the Containment Area 25 administrator that can possibly contain SCP-076 more efficiently. Dorothy suggested to add amnestic equipment to the killing corridor inside SCP-076-2's containment measures, attempt to erase its memory about its death. The possible outcomes of the plan include a reduction in the state of anger and a reduction in the containment process. There was no foreseen injurious consequence, and the cost was within an acceptable range. Finally, the proposal was approved. After the procedure, 076-2 has forgotten. He quieted down and murmured with an unrecognizable language, wondering where he is. He stepped out of the corridor as the guards nervously watched him. An ancient Sumerian expert was soon sent to the scene to help communicate. He has forgotten. Staying in a standard humanoid containment room, 076-2 told the researchers that he wanted to go grazing. To satisfy his request, an indoor farm was soon built. They were still highly alert to 076-2, but he had a great time anyways. He asked the employees, who were dressed as biblical characters, of 073's trace. At first, they got away temporarily by telling him that 073 went to travel, though he became much more persistent 2 months later and even threatened the employees. More armed forces were arranged around 076-2's farm. They tried to come up with excuses that could be accepted by 076-2, but they have never thought of one. Soon, 076-2 realized that they were lying to him. He escaped from its containment room and finally met SCP-073. Surprisingly, there were no conflicts between 073 and 076-2. 073 apologized to 076-2, though 076-2 did not appear to comprehend what the apology was for. Since then, 073 was allowed to meet with 076-2 periodically. After this event, 076-2 was aging at the same speed as an ordinary human being and was estimated to die in a few years. By then, Containment Area 25 should recover all special containment methods that were used to contain SCP-076. The current 076-2 remained its state of death for 10 years, in which no 076-2 has been produced from 076-1 since. 076-2 is now considered neutralized. SCP-073 is currently kept in Site-17, a 2-room cell furnished with all non-organic furniture and items, and a bathroom. 073 can freely wander the facility and eat in the main canteen. A tracking device has been attached to SCP-073's person and is not to be removed. It is disallowed any contact with the surface and is not allowed outside the facility. It is also not allowed to have any contact with plant-based SCPs under any circumstances. Violence is not to be used against 073 under any circumstances.